It's great to see you all here. I was thinking on the way down what a beautiful day it was. And in one way, you might argue that we were going in to see a film which wouldn't be something one would like to do on a great day like this. Maybe you might argue that. But I think it's a really important thing, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here with you because I think it's really the message of the film, the topic, all of that, that's so important for a conversation to begin around that, I think. So I'm delighted to be here with you all. My name is Susan Liddy and I lecture in Mary Immaculate College here in town, in the city, in the Department of Media Communications. And just a little bit of housekeeping to let you know, I think there are going to be cards, or maybe you've picked it up already, and a brochure of some kind passed around. If you wanted to jot down some thoughts or to make a note of something that you might want to talk about later, that would be good. I just want to reassure everybody that we're all going to get a chance to say something. You're going to have a chance to speak, to raise any questions. But maybe for right now, to let the film sit with us a little bit, because it was a lot to take in, I think, on many levels. So maybe we would leave your engagement until the second session, where we'll be joined in conversation with Marie, the artist, and also with Angie Smallis, whose response dance you have seen there, and was another beautiful piece of work. So I suppose really I want to begin with my response, and forgive me if I have these notes on my lap. I do hate referring to notes, but it's a memory thing. I want to remember what I'm going to say here today, because there's a couple of points I wanted to raise that I think are important. I suppose the film for me, I think we all probably have somebody we know, some personal connection where loved ones have Alzheimer's or are in varying stages or are suffering from dementia of some kind. So it's not something, many of us are not coming to this from an academic or artistic perspective where the emotions are absent. So in many ways, I suppose, I should have been looking at thinking quite harrowing and so on, but I didn't find it a harrowing piece of work actually. And I'm trying to figure out now why that was. And I think part of it was about people. There was no attempt to medicalize the situation or other the people concerned. They were the participants. It seemed to be very much a participatory project, which I find wonderful, really. For me, obviously there's real fear, I think, around this topic. We don't know how to deal with it. We haven't any map. We haven't any answers. And Marie didn't try to give us any answers. That's another thing. So she wasn't trying to pose the questions and then come along with possibilities. She was allowing us glimpse a world that we don't know very much about. A world in which our loved ones inhabit, which it's part of their lives, and we don't know much about it. But it did offer, I think, for me, at a very visceral level, I don't know, maybe you both felt this, a way in somehow, a way to glimpse a place that we don't know much about. And for me, that was quite important. I think it's a really important piece of work because I think there are a number of taboos in our culture, and dementia is one of them. We don't want to talk about it. Even if we have somebody, or we know somebody, love somebody who is suffering in some way from dementia, there still seems to be an avoidance of others who may have it, or an embarrassment perhaps about some of the aspects of it. I think it's one of the taboos in our culture, and I think the other taboos are aging and death. We live in a culture that is designed so we can all pretend that actually we are not getting any older, that we're not going to have to relinquish control at some point. It's a world in which cosmetic surgery is booming. Procedures of every kind can convince us that because we don't wear the markers of age, we aren't actually aging. But of course the reality is that we don't have control over lots of things in our lives, and aging and what comes with it is very often outside our control. And I think we need to talk about these things. I think it's important as a society that we do talk about those things. I suppose what Mary's film did for me was, it points to the power of art to actually articulate the unspeakable. It points for me to the power of art for us to go communally into an area that we're frightened of. I think it lessens the fear that we have to experience at an individual level. Also, just in terms of piece of film, what strikes me with Marie and Kevin's work is that there's a risk, and I know risk is something we could talk in a number of ways about the film around this question of risk. But for me, as filmmakers, they really did embrace risk in this way. When you're making traditional documentaries, it's questions of mapping where you're going. It's questions of establishing a narrative drive, about narrative arc, about finding interviewees who will be good interviewees. They will, with fluency, explain different positions that you want to articulate. Marie and Kevin didn't have any of that certainty. They didn't have control over the interviewees or the situation. They embraced, I think, the fact that they didn't have any control, and I think that is a real risk for filmmakers. But I think it's wonderful in this context because actually it's about the lack of control in many ways, and their practice almost echoes some of the issues that are underlying in the film.